the soybean is one of the most popular food products in the global market. After all, 80% of the protein consumed worldwide is produced from this leguminous vegetable of the pea family. There are huge profits being made in the production of soybeans, and the reason for that is the huge amount of pesticides, herbicides, and genetic manipulation used in the process. The world's population is now close to 7 billion, and nowadays Argentina by itself is able to supply food for about 10 billion. But according to a report recently released by the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, more than 1.5 billion people suffer from hunger worldwide.
There is no lack of food in the world. It is a big lie. Actually, about 1.5 billion people have nutrition problems and some suffer from hunger. It is mentioned in the same report that about 1.5 billion people suffer from obesity and being overweight, people who eat too much. But we don't know the actual source of this information. People don't eat too much because of greed. It's the market and food industry that leads them to eat more. It's the market which forces them to consume more junk food which has no actual nutrient. The death rate is higher among the obese and they get sick more often. The diseases they get weaken them, so their health is at risk and they must be treated. This situation is created by a system that has changed food into an industrial product that must be sold. So we have about 1.5 billion overweight or obese people who eat a lot, and the same amount who suffer from malnutrition. Food has become an industrial product for us humans.
Soybean production has risen significantly in the last 15 years because of the use of manipulated soya seeds since 1996. In Argentina and other Latin American nations, soybean cultivation has overtaken other agricultural and livestock products, such as dairy cattle, wheat, corn, and fruit. Traditional agricultural methods have, for the most part, been replaced by methods that use genetically manipulated seeds, and soybean is the most popular of them all.
First of all, we have two categories of plants which are cultivated, those with natural genetic code and the other group that are manipulated genetically. In other words, some of the genes inside the genome of the seed have changed. Herrera soybean is classified in this group. It means that it should have been cultivated naturally, while it has unfortunately been manipulated genetically.
Epidemiology helps us find out about the different kinds of disease we have here. It is like we are taking a picture from the health situation of a specific time. First, we look for the disease and then try to explain it. Then we try to find a relation between the disease and its causes and find out about the main reason. We find the disease that may be caused by the pesticides and other kinds of polluters. These are the diseases caused by the chemical materials, and so they can be traced. They are categorized in 5 or 6 groups. What groups? Abnormalities, cancer, due to different reasons and in different organs, immune system disease, lupus erythematous, and thyroiditis.
This disease is caused by the pesticides. I don't live in the center of pollution where the severe cases are recognized. I live 15 blocks away. There have been 2 cases of cancer in the building where I live. One of them died and the other is in a critical condition.
There were 4 other women pregnant at the same time, and we all lost our babies in 1 year. That's when we asked ourselves what was going on. These events were happening in a short period of time. Officials used to say that it should be taken into consideration, and I was foolishly trying to get pregnant again and again. I didn't know. I knew nothing, and now that I'm 40, I've had 15 abortions and 2 pregnancies. I have only 1 daughter alive.
We should consider that all the pesticides are used to kill life. They're not produced to create life, so all of them can kill human beings, but it depends on the consumed dose. The amount of pesticide that can kill a man is called fatal dose. This amount can enter the body by breathing or go into your digestive system. It can also enter the body through your mouth or even the skin. It just has to be the fatal dose to kill. The problem is that in Argentina, the amount of pesticides that are allowed to be consumed is according to the fatal dose, which is known as fatal dose 50. It means it's the fatal amount. In our country, the problem is not the fatal dose. It's important, of course, but the main problem is getting lower doses. We're not protected by the law against the lower doses.
Son las pequeñas dosis, es decir, nuestra legislación no protege contra pequeñas dosis.
On the 9th of November, the day marking combating impunity from punishment, the Ituzaingó Mothers Club managed to begin the first legal case against the pesticide producers and users in Latin America.
We used all the available sources in the court session. The worrisome part is that we don't know about the number of patients, and the officials are trying to lessen the importance of the problems. We know about 300 cases of cancer, and we even have more important information, that is test results, confirming the existence of the poisons in the people's blood. What we ask the court is for the prosecuting attorney and the judges to make the public health their first priority, make life a priority. I know about the economic problems, I know about the pressure, and the best lawyers are there. Soy farmers have the best lawyers. But to prioritize public health and life is justice. They shouldn't pay attention to the economic problems and the pressures on them, because all the judges there are under the pressure.
We will probably win the case. We'll arrange a national campaign after the court and are going to hold it in the whole country. This national campaign is against consumption of poison. The mass media distributes the information and collects positive votes from people to help us define a framework for the system.
I don't know if public awareness has been raised since the protests began, and has it caused more controversy. Sometimes they don't know the value of your struggle in the area that you're fighting. They don't appreciate it, because the government has made the people stand in front of us by its social programs. There are even some people in our own neighborhood who are against us. There are also the neighbors who had suffered and fought by our side. If you want to know about the local, national, and international reactions, I should say yes. It has raised public awareness, and all the people hope that the verdict would be in our favor. It can be a great gift for so many people, and so many lives will be saved.
Para un montón de gente y va a salvar muchas. Que haya justicia, ¿no? Porque acá hace 10 años que la gente está sufriendo.
Justice should be served. It's been 10 years of suffering for the people here. Those responsible for all this should be convicted and punished, so it will serve as a lesson for the others. It's happening all over the country. There are currently 100,000 villages in Argentina that are being poisoned, sprayed systematically. The manipulated soybean and corn are cultivated in these 100,000 villages with a population of 12 million that are sprayed from October to March. Some of the villages are in the north with indigenous people. They are in a worse situation than the others. Because the poison is sprayed from the air and because of the weather condition and high temperatures, a higher dose of poison is used there, in comparison to the humid pampas fields.
También se les aplican dosis mucho más altas que las que se usan en la pampa húmeda.
The Ituzaingó Anexo neighborhood is a frontrunner in the battle against this type of pollution. Taking the perpetrators to court was a historic moment for environmental activists. But there are many Argentinians whose health has been damaged by this dangerous soybean craze, but cannot defend themselves.
Tenemos que tener la ley que nos hace falta, que obviamente no la tenemos.
They say such a thing is not needed in the law. It's clear. We don't have such a law. We don't have a law to protect us against the lower doses. We don't have a law to define the correct ways of controlling pests, laws that can effectively protect the small remaining portions of virgin landscapes. And we can't tolerate the agriculture industry expanding in those areas. Although we don't have any laws against pesticides, I'm sure that we can do something about it. The other important subject is that the people should take part in the protests and debates and be a part of them.
The other solution is to produce food in a healthy way. I don't know if the people have heard about it or not, but last year the government of Netherlands decided to stop buying genetically modified soybeans from Argentina, starting from 2014. And in this regard, in the current year in 2012, they are preparing the draft of the new law. Why don't they want to buy the genetically manipulated soybeans from Argentina anymore? Because they use the beans as nutrition for pigs. We are talking about 250,000 pigs. They're slaughtered, then replaced and increased to be able to meet the demands. In the pig farms with a regular food plan, the farmers found out that when their pigs were being fed by our products, 20 to 30% of their piglets were born dead or with abnormalities. They sent us the piglets' pictures, and they were exactly like the babies with abnormalities born here.
Nos mandaron la foto de los cerdos muertos, son idénticas a lo de los humanos, nuestros pacientes que nacen con malformación.
But there is an alternative to the genetically manipulated soybean, and that is organic soybeans. In Cañuelas, in the south of Buenos Aires, there's a group of producers whose priority is to produce healthy organic food.
I'm Alicia, a member of the agricultural producers' families in Cañuelas. Our organization is an NGO, and we have established an agriculture and livestock cooperative called Familia Productora de Cañuelas. Our production company is a family one. We are a member of the Producer Families Organization in Buenos Aires and the Ecological Movement of Latin America and Caribbean region. We're convinced that our country can't survive this crisis without any help.
Well, I'm Jose Lopez. I raise animals and have a farm. I was born here and want to stay here. We have learned from PF Cooperative or the Familia Productora de Cañuelas to protect the soil. We were using industrial pesticides and chemicals and realized that we were polluting the earth, and with the cooperative's help, I'm learning things. Like it is said, if we want to work in a farm, we should learn to do it in another way.
Si bien todos dicen que uno sabe trabajar la tierra, tenemos que aprender a trabajarla de otra manera.
¿Por qué producimos agroecológicamente?
Why do we produce organic products? Because we're convinced that this way of production is consistent with the environment and helps protect the people. In addition, the traditional way of seed processing, raising animals with their original genes, the conservation of biodiversity, water and wastewater treatment can lead us to food independence. We will do our best in this regard.
El tratamiento de las aguas, todo esto.
You know, I don't think about money and don't care about high or low profit. I care about the consumers. Not killing anyone is more important than high profit. If your production is high, it remains high, with or without chemical fertilizers. Or if it gets too cold or too hot, the land gives you what it should, despite all you have done for it. In a cold and icy air, nothing grows, even if you have done your best for the soil. But people insist on adding chemical fertilizers. It is nature that sends you the crops, and the plants don't grow from time to time. So why should we bother the soil? If the crop is not good here, I will go somewhere else.
No rinde por ahí, pasa por otro lado.
Está demostrado
It is proved that polluting the agriculture system, I mean the system based on the use of genetically manipulated seeds, doesn't necessarily lead to more production. I mean the fruiting of genetically manipulated plants is not more than the organic ones. A research has been done in the US on the organic and genetically manipulated corn for 9 years, and the results show that genetically manipulated ones have no advantages over the organic ones. They didn't grow more crops, but even 1 or 2% less.
Organic production needs more work and effort compared to the agriculture with technological packaging that they try to sell to us. We're talking about the packages containing chemical agricultural materials and genetically manipulated seeds. Using technology needs less workers and therefore less jobs for the people. It is the same in the agriculture and livestock industry, but productivity is the same in both methods. I say that we should create the conditions required for organic agriculture. I mean the equipment needed. Taking everything into consideration, we realize that it is even more economically viable to produce organic food.
Canela City implemented a law which limited the amount of glyphosate that could be used in production. Spraying poisons and pesticides was allowed up to 2 kilometers from residential and water storage areas. And air spraying is strictly prohibited in Cañuelas.
En el Aras Don Pierre, de la localidad de Vicente Casares de Cañuelas.
We are in Don Pierre area in Vicente Casares. Vicente Casares is a milk production center. We produce winter forage and barley corn and feed groups of 50 to 100 head herbs here. 21 of them are pregnant mares. We have winter forage cultivated organically. And pesticide use in this form is limited due to Cañuelas laws. The laws were implemented because of the students whose school was poison sprayed before in 2010. Their actions led to meeting with deliberating councils. After months of meetings and studying, various scientific tests from Argentinian universities, laws were passed prohibiting poison spraying up to 2 kilometers to the houses and 200 meters to the schools of Cañuelas. Poison spray is done while the schools are closed, and air poison spraying is prohibited in the whole of Cañuelas and 100 hectares around it.
Las fumigaciones a 2 kilómetros después de la última casa de cada uno de las localidades y pueblitos de Cañuelas.
Although industrial agriculture and the use of pollutants is widespread, the Ituzaingó Mothers Club is fighting against it and raising public awareness undaunted. And Cañuelas is a prime example of the fact that the misuse of poisons can be stopped.
Yo creo que es importante el rol de los activistas, es importante.
I think the role of activists is very important. The role of journalists is also important. They play an important role in revealing the realities kept away from the public. I think it's an important point. I can name Ituzaingó Anexo as a neighborhood dealing with these problems. And we could see to some extent what happened in Funam. They were the mothers who gathered the information and helped the awareness process. We should also consider the social factors like activism, the residents who were ready to protest and raise social awareness, which led to all the reforms we see. But change cannot only happen by public protests or activists, or even journalists. They can't do anything by their own.
Creo que ese cóctel es donde va produciéndose los cambios.
Después de esa movilización logramos concientizar a todos los concejales de Cañuelas.
With our movement, we managed to raise the council's awareness in Cañuelas. We were all in on it and were backed by the local officials. We are now preparing a new draft and local officials will present it to the parliament and promote ecologic agriculture. In fact, ecologic agriculture is ongoing without poison spraying in 10,000 hectares of our fields.
Dentro de esas 10.000 hectáreas libres de fumigaciones que logramos en nuestro distrito.
We're planning to form the first Agriculture Industry Cooperation Congress in our town, in Buenos Aires. Many companies and organizations will attend the program, and one of the subjects will be about organic production experiences. In other words, it's a county open congress. I mean, the problems won't appear as the Congress starts, but have been there for so many years and will continue even after the Congress. The supporters' presence in the Congress can be a great help. Supporters like students, scientists, and economic and social organizations. We're working on it and planning for the first Ecological Farming Congress in Argentina with the help of some friends from Santa Fe who held the first Congress of the kind there.
El primer Congreso Nacional de Agroecología de la República Argentina.
The only way forward is to fight for a healthy environment for future generations and spread the word so more people join the fight against mass production that can only lead to massive losses in the long run.
Is there anyone who doesn't like the land? If someone doesn't like the land, he should choose another job. I don't know what to tell you. If someone wants to kill the people, he should produce something suitable. He should produce weapons. One who produces food should accept the fact that he produces food and nothing more.
As time goes by and as more studies and researches are done, we will find out more about the damage to the consumers of genetically manipulated products. We go to another neighborhood and see that the spraying has stopped, but they're doing it 10 kilometers or even 5 kilometers away. It is still being done, and well, there's still poison in the air.
Y eso está en el aire. Mi deseo futuro es que no haya transgénicos acá en Argentina.
I hope the future generations won't consume genetically manipulated products and have better livestock, better corn, and better wheat. Just chicken and roosters and the fruit are enough. We have to keep chickens nowadays because the livestock price has risen. I remember we used to eat meat and roasted meat when my mother was alive. We didn't eat chicken. Now we eat chicken. We're losing the biodiversity. We're losing everything, flowers and the environment. They condemn the villagers of wasting their lands. They're destroying us.
Están expulsando a los campesinos, están quitando sus tierras, nos están destruyendo.
Habernos dicho que eran locas.
They told us we were a bunch of crazy women who didn't know what we were saying. We took them to the court, and that was important. It was even more important than the result. I think we fought for justice and opened the public's eye to the fact that Ituzaingó Annexo is not the only victim and all the country has the same problem. And I suppose it's something beyond the court and the results we got. It was important for the people to know that we are in danger. I think justice will be served in the future. I think it will. Otherwise, we can't talk about justice anymore, because it's shown that justice can be ignored and no one asks you about the reason.
Creo que sí. Porque si no, hablaría muy mal de la justicia si no lo hace. Porque entonces quiere decir que vos podés violar las leyes y nadie te va a juzgar.
The land has only one thing ahead, and that is ecologic agriculture. Not two things, not three, and not four. No, our current agricultural methods lead us to a disaster and cause the land to lose its productivity. There is only one way, which is ecological agriculture. We should be aware it's possible to do it. It can be done practically, and it's our duty as a farmer to accept these products willingly and be kinder to ourselves as a part of nature. Mother Earth wants change, and the change is in us. We must awaken, raise awareness, and change our agriculture and animal farming.
consume more junk food which has no actual nutrient. The death rate is higher among the obese and they get sick more often. The diseases they get weaken them, so their health is at risk and they must be treated. This situation is created by a system that has changed food into an industrial product that must be sold. So we have about 1.5 billion overweight or obese people who eat a lot, and the same amount who suffer from malnutrition. Food has become an industrial product for us humans.
Soybean production has risen significantly in the last 15 years because of the use of manipulated soya seeds since 1996. In Argentina and other Latin American nations, soybean cultivation has overtaken other agricultural and livestock products for about 10 billion. But according to a report recently released by the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, more than 1.5 billion people suffer from hunger worldwide.
There is no lack of food in the world. It is a big lie. Actually, about 1.5 billion people have nutrition problems and some suffer from hunger. It is mentioned in the same report that about 1.5 billion people suffer from obesity and being overweight, people who eat too much. But we don't know the actual source of this information. People don't eat too much because of greed. It's the market and food industry that leads them to eat more. It's the market which forces them to consume,
such as dairy cattle, wheat, corn and fruit. Traditional agricultural methods have, for the most part, been replaced by methods that use genetically manipulated seeds, and soybean is the most popular of them all.
First of all, we have two categories of plants which are cultivated, those with natural genetic code and the other group that are manipulated genetically. In other words, some of the genes inside the genome of the seed have changed. Herrera soybean is classified in this group. It means that it should have been cultivated naturally, while it has unfortunately been manipulated genetically.
Epidemiology helps us find out about the different kinds of disease we have here. It is like we are taking a picture from the health situation of a specific time. First, we look for the disease and then try to explain it. Then we try to find a relation between the disease and its causes and find out about the main reason. We find the disease that may be caused by the pesticides and other kinds of polluters. These are the diseases caused by the chemical materials, and so they can be traced. They are categorized in 5 or 6 groups. What groups? Abnormalities, cancer, due to different reasons and in different organs, immune system disease, lupus erythematous, and thyroiditis.
This disease is caused by the pesticides. I don't live.
The soybean is one of the most popular food products in the global market. After all, 80% of the protein consumed worldwide is produced from this leguminous vegetable of the pea family. There are huge profits being made in the production of soybeans, and the reason for that is the huge amount of pesticides, herbicides, and genetic manipulation used in the process. The world's population is now close to 7 billion, and nowadays Argentina by itself is able to supply food